Husband pushed for our kids, but now he's jealous and distant, constantly competing with them and making me fear for our marriage. My husband, 42 meters, and I, 35F, tried for so long to have our boys and girl. Due to a health issue my husband suffered, he developed fertility issues and we had to get medical assistance to be able to have our children, because if we didn't he'd probably never have kids. So we went through fertility treatment. He desperately wanted his own biological children and we spent a fortune just to bring them into the world, and now he's jealous and distant with them? He's constantly in competition with his own infant children. If I hold the children he gets frustrated. Anytime they take my attention away he gets completely pissy. He's always in a foul mood, irritable and just downright nasty. I don't understand it. Why is he like this? Our children are barely 6 months and they won't stop crying every time he's near. I feel like they can sense his negativity. I tried talking to him. I've suggested he take interest in the kids and spend more time with us as a family. I know it can sometimes take a little longer for parents to bond with their children, but this is downright scary to experience. He's full of jealousy and envy. He sees our children as competition to my time and affections. A few times now he has made comments about feeling frustrated that I still breastfeed our children. The thing is, we mix feed, so he has had ample opportunity to feed them and he just doesn't. He also said that this, meaning our life and our marriage after children, wasn't what he thought it would be like. I mean, what did he expect? A singular baby cries and 3 of them cry a lot. We've been together for 8 years and married for 7 years. He wanted these children. He pushed for them, and now this. I never thought this would ever be me. I am scared. I am scared for my children. I have tried talking to him but he just brushes me off. I've suggested counseling. He refuses. He tells me it's all in my head. I want to save this marriage but I am scared I won't be able to, and maybe it's not worth saving. He comes home later every day. He avoids us on the weekends and any time he is off. I'm not ashamed to say that I went through his phone and there are a lot flirtatious texts between him and a Jessica. I don't think anything has happened between them, but it sure looks like they are building up to it. I haven't said anything because I'm afraid. Where do I go with 3 children, with no money and no family that can help me? I haven't worked in 2 years and I've spent all my savings on having these children. My mind is in a complete meltdown. I can't sleep, I can't think, and I'm always exhausted. What the hell happened? Is this him now forever? Update 1. Thank you to the person who said I should watch his interactions with my babies more closely and frequently. Not even hours after I posted here asking for advice, I caught him pinching my son. While I was scrolling on here and replying to people, I decided to check my baby monitor and I watched my husband enter our children's room and insult them in a hushed and whispery tone. I couldn't make out much of what he was saying, but he was without a doubt telling them that he hated them and wished them dead. Then he pinched my son and my baby boy didn't even cry, which made me think he's done this many times before. It all happened so fast, and by the time I could make sense of what was happening on the monitor he was already walking down the hallway and down the stairs. At the same time I had leapt off the sofa and pretty much tackled him as he came off the stairs. We got into a physical and verbal altercation. We fought, argued and shouted for hours. I guess the police were called by the neighbors because the next thing I know the police are banging on my door. I explained the situation to the police and the officers said that they could not prove that my baby was harmed since he didn't have a bruise. And my baby monitor was only on live feed and not simultaneously recording. Eventually they got my husband to agree to pack a bag and leave. He left reluctantly. He has since been blowing up my phone begging for forgiveness, talking about how he's been depressed and stressed by the babies, and that his anxiety and jealousy got the best of him. I just responded once telling him to go fuck himself. I've also been in contact with a lawyer and she's advised me to leave him unblocked in case he further incriminates himself. I don't even recognize who this man is. Where did this all come from? How did this happen? Has any other parent experienced this? How did you handle this? Before y'all start jumping down my throat, I am absolutely getting a divorce and I will do everything in my power to get full custody. I did take my children to our family doctor and they are in good health and there are no other signs of abuse. I've filled a report with the police and my lawyer is dealing with it. I'm also about to start the process of divorce. Update 2. I've set the monitor up to record now. I've also ordered a home security system and will be installing it real soon. I'm doing everything I can to protect them. This all happened a few days ago, but I am in the process of getting a temporary restraining order. My lawyer is handling it and I understand it takes some time to actually get one, and in the meantime I've been advised that I can just deny him visitation until he gets a judgment from the courts that forces me to grant him access to my babies, but that takes time. So in the meantime he can't force me or my babies to see him. I've recorded every call and saved every text. Literally documenting everything. Thankfully he's saying and texting a goldmine of incriminating things that I hope would be sufficient information for a judge to give me and my babies a restraining/protective order and for family court to grant me primary and sole custody. Yes. He at first told me I was agenting things. Then switched to saying he was just frustrated our son wouldn't go to sleep. Then he started saying that he was angry that our son was interrupting our personal time and that he was doing it on purpose because the other babies were asleep, so why wasn't he? Honestly, nothing he says makes sense to me. Like my baby boy was just laying there sleepy and he would have fallen back to sleep by himself. That bastard actually woke him up with his pinching and insults. He says he went in their room to check up on them, and I call bullshit on that. He went in there to torment my children. Who in their right mind whispers death to 2 sleeping babies and another half asleep baby? This was on a call which I've recorded. Update 3. Every conversation with him feels like I'm losing my mind. The only thing that has kept me semi-sane and able to track what he has been doing is my audio journal and my posts on here. Last week it was my 36th birthday. Actually, I had forgotten it was my birthday and was reminded by my sister that it was in fact my birthday. I decided I couldn't mope around the house, and I got my kids dressed to go shopping and get groceries. We got back and I put away half of the groceries, but my babies were fussy, and so to tire them out and ready them for bed we went for a walk. When I got back home he was in the kitchen cooking and putting away some of the groceries I had left out. He greeted me and acted normal. I didn't react because his entire demeanor was freaking me out, so I played along. I went upstairs and got the kids down. I did think of walking out the front door, but he was kind of anticipating it, and so he was following me around, and I thought in the moment that the best thing I could do was to get my kids upstairs and away from him. He said he wanted to talk and clear the air because this has gone on too long. We had a long conversation and it started out reasonable but eventually spiraled out of control. We got into physical confrontation because I refused to let him stay. He tried to physically intimidate me and he, well, hurt me. While he was hurting me I was still able to contact the police. It took them an excruciatingly long 20-25 minutes to get there. So here I am sitting with 2 completely black and blue eyes, a busted lip, swollen face, massive knots on my head and bruises all over. I don't know what happened to my life or how I got here, but here I am. I can't even look my neighbors in the eyes. I can't go outside without seeing the shocked faces of people. I have never felt so ashamed, so humiliated, so hurt and so utterly stupid. I thought I made all the right choices in life. What did I do wrong? When did it all get so fucked? I mean, I think I did everything right. Like I created a stable life for myself, then picked a man that at time was a very loving partner. I married that man and waited 5 years before even going through the process of having children with him, and now once I've had his children he's just beating on me and our babies? Edit. My sister is now aware of what's been happening and she is supporting me as best as she can. I have plans to move out, but since I'm not working right now I need some time to save up. His family is also aware. His family refused to believe that I saw him hurt our child, but they can't deny this attack now that they've seen my bruises. Also, yes, he was arrested and he was bailed out by his brother. He's currently staying with his brother. Update 4. I say all of this without exaggeration. I am certain he was getting ready to kill us. After nearly 8 months of turmoil I'm finally close to understanding. My soon-to-be ex-husband is in love with a woman he came across on social media and he has been obsessing over her for at least a year. She also happens to be a sex worker and he was paying her for her time and attention. In his mind he believed they could have a future together if only he could get rid of my children and me. Even though T.'s woman gave him no inkling that she even wanted to be with him. He has spent so much of our money on this woman. I am at a loss for words that could accurately describe the situation. I can barely believe half of the things he's been up to. I've spent the past few weeks playing detective and I finally decided to contact Jessica. This is obviously not her name, but I need to call her something. I contacted Jessica and at first she was very reluctant to speak to me, but I literally begged her to and she was kind enough to get on the phone with me. She told me that she had been seeing him for a while but she stopped seeing him because he started to scare her. He was sending her unhinged messages and voicemails. He had been stalking her and trying to convince her to be with him. Jessica eventually stopped seeing him and had him blocked, and I guess this is when he started to escalate from emotional abuse to physically abusing my children and myself. He was looking for a way out and in his crazy mind, killing us would free him because the only reason Jessica wouldn't be with him was because me and my children were in the way. During our long call I also explained to Jessica what had been happening to me and she was genuinely kind and helpful. She also agreed to speak to my lawyer and to send them the thousands of unhinged texts, voicemails and voice notes he sent her. For a little while after our conversation a part of me genuinely hated Jessica and wanted to blame her for everything, but the rational part of me pushed out those unreasonable and dangerous thoughts, especially after I read his disturbing texts and heard his voicemail/notes to Jessica. She has also been victimized by him. Honestly, there is nothing like listening to your husband and father of your children talk about how you and your children mean nothing to him and how he wishes you were dead. He could have just asked for a divorce or just got up and left. I sent him a few texts asking him why. This was a one-time thing and since then I've stopped all contact. Why do all of this? Why torment my babies? Why not just walk away? He responded with a message saying any conversation between us should be through our lawyers. His parents have him lawyered up. They know what he's been up to and they've chosen to protect him. His father came to see me and in a not so direct way suggested he could pay me if I stopped talking about what his son has done and was planning on doing. Ever since he broke into the house and pretty much tried to kill me I've told anyone who'd listen what he has done. At this point even his colleagues know. Update 5. Last week Thursday at approximately 2 a.m. in the morning, my 36F husband, 42 meters, of nearly 8 years was arrested outside of Jessica's house, the sex worker he met online and used to pay to spend time with him until he started to creep her out by his stalking and obsession. When he was arrested, they found in his truck small baggies with drug residue and they also found tools of abduction. I honestly do not know what these are exactly. My soon-to-be ex Phil called me at around 4:45 a.m. to tell me that his son was arrested. My Phil was the one who used the term tools of abduction. When I asked him what the hell that means, he said he didn't have time for my interrogation tactics. He then asked if I could help them find a lawyer for him and to stand by his son throughout all of this. When I said to him how the hell am I supposed to find a lawyer this early in the morning, he lost his shit and then was just screaming. My soon-to-be ex-Mill took over the phone, telling me that I'm a goddamn B backslash, and that all this is my fault. I hung up before she could say any more. I never knew this man to take drugs. Sure, he drank occasionally, but hard drugs? I honestly don't know what's happening anymore or how I got here. I mean, it does make sense he was on cocaine the past 7/8 months now that I look back at things. I mean, I don't even know anything about drugs to be able to recognize the behavior pattern, but once I researched it, it seemed clear. The moodiness, the disappearances, the lies, the anger, the sudden outburst and the violence at all points to drug usage, as well as him being an abusive piece of shit. His parents and the rest of his family had called and texted me so much abusive shit and they occasionally switched to begging me to go see him or pick up his calls, but I've mainly ignored them. I don't have the time, the energy or the love that is needed to be there for this man and his parents. I've given him 8 years of my love and affection, and he spat it back into my face during the hardest and most vulnerable time of my life also. Why would they think I'd help him after everything he's done? Especially since I think he deserves to be in jail for not only hurting my children, but also for hurting myself and Jessica. I hope and pray he's jailed for the rest of his natural life. I mean, I've tried being a good wife, but he has attacked my children. He has attacked me. He has lied and tormented us, and I'm supposed to help him? I don't even know how I got here. How did we get here? I've packed everything up and I'm leaving. I'm disappearing with my kids, and anything else between me and these people can be handled through my lawyer. The only person who knows where I'm moving to is my lawyer and my sister. I mean, what else can I do to protect my children? His entire family blames me. And how do I keep my head high when I'm now being treated like I'm an evil and disgusting person by pretty much everyone I once called a family? These people are trying to destroy me inside and out, and I don't know how to survive them. How am I supposed to rebuild my life when they won't stop tormenting me? In less than a year of their birth, I've managed to fail my children.